I hope it's not long and boring. It's my first little foray into this kind of thing. So I guess a short synopsis wouldn't be all that obnoxious. Some clues to this concoction are in order, certainly. I suppose it is a love story, though that notion seems strange to me. Spanning the ages between me and Josiah, Josiah, Meigs, and me. Josiah, Meigs, and me. But first, before I tell you the story, I would like to pour a Guinness. And I pour this Guinness in dedication to and in loving memory of John Ryan Seawright, who was a longtime resident of the street named after Josiah Meigs in Athens, Georgia. And he was a true mentor to me, without whose influence my work would be completely unrecognizable to you guys. And it was just his gentle encouragement of my early Meigs fascination that propelled me through many drudging days of self-doubt, and surely making all these songs you're about to hear possible. And in one of his last great emails to me, he sent a poem by Georgian Conrad Aiken, saying if you put a gun to him and ask him what poetry was, he'd tell you that. And he also said nothing made him prouder to be from Georgia. So I'd like to present you with another little bit of Conrad Aiken here that really spoke to me for this piece, and I'm sure John would recognize it. And it's called A Letter from Lee Poe. Text out of text, pretext for scholars or for scholiasts. The living word springs from the dying as leaves in spring. in Oxford, Mississippi. One sunny summer afternoon, I was hungry, downtown on the square, but all the restaurants were closed. Well, just when I felt on the verge of blasphemy, I realized that it was a Sunday, yeah, and that is the one day when around there all the restaurants would be closed. Baptists don't eat on Sunday, you know. I was starting to swim, yeah. The sun was doing more than noon, when at the corner of my eye, oh, something sparkled. It looked like and then proved to be a great little independent bookstore sign. Independent bookstore. Well, I guess for a heathen like me, that's a steeple beckoning. So I started in over toward it, but as soon as my hand hit the door, every single author I'd ever come across, or especially the 4 or 5 that I'd been dying to read, they flew right out of my mind, yeah. They flew right out of my mind. Yes, they flew right out of my mind. They flew right out of my mind. So where, oh where would I start to look in all those stacks of dusty books for the one of many that I know was there, that even I could appreciate. I used my eagle eye to spy the table marked to move, and then I sorta sidled over him. I stuck in my thumb and pulled out like a plum a text with a title that took me aback. It was entitled College Life in the Old South, as seen at the University of Georgia. Well, that's a kinda like my alma mater, seeing as I've lived in that historic college town ever since I dropped or flunked out. And the book is only $3 dang. The book is only $3 dang. Yeah, the book is only $3 dang. Yeah, the book was only $3 dang. Yeah, the book was only $3 dang. And I'm a cheap fucker, there's only $3 dang. Yeah, the book is the book was only $3 dang dollars, so I didn't have to shoplift it. It's an interesting story how the first state chartered university came into being. It's rather complicated and would take some explaining to do justice to the crucial subtleties. It was a period of utmost importance to mankind, when the world was seething with great thoughts and seemingly endless potentialities frolicked enticingly before the fresh and virile contemporaries. It's the story of a nation inventing itself, and so many other stories besides. But the one that I became all tangled up in surrounded Josiah Meigs, and how they ousted him. He was their first acting president, and then they ousted him. He was their first acting president, and he was an amazing one, and then those fuckers ousted him. He was their first acting president, then they ousted him. The man with a large, capacious head was a Yankee from Connecticut, with a high forehead, a long and prominent chin. His mild eyes were bright with a bluish tint. Appearance peculiarly benevolent. Recruited by former star tutor of his to start a college in the southern wilderness. He served as surveyor and architect, city planner, fundraiser, and bureaucrat, lobbyist, administrator, and its eloquent mouthpiece, scientist, philosopher, but above all, an enthusiastic teacher of those excellent young men he sincerely loved. And he believed knowledge, pure and unveiled, was the true basis of a happiness. He prayed, if it pleased God, to spare our lives and kindle a scientific fire which will irradiate from this hill to California. Flourishing beyond expectations, no finer facilities in the young nation for a truly cutting-edge education. Yet in the midst of this prosperity were the fast-sprouting seeds of adversity. From various quarters came attacking. And he saw men smile and smile in his presence, and yet felt that it was not the smile of friendship. He said, I have been the target for the shafts of those who tread the true light of science. And may its usefulness yet defeat the views of malignity. Resolved to resign the presidency to his arch critics who immediately elected him professor of philosophy and mathematics. And he predicted they'd elect him next to professor of turnips and cabbages. That day on, for a century, each president of that university would be an ordained preacher. If Meigs only lasted for another year, he said, you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be a bell ringer? Do you want me to hang around and be your bell ringer? my eyes to the page to rendezvous with gobbledygook that's precisely arranged. And away I go to my own private picture show. Projected on the inner screen. That at night is filled with dreams. And sometimes flickering memories. Ephemeral, chemical shimmerings, the same. Funny folders in my filing cabinet. The liquid librarian is bound to make connections. From a book I read was talking with my father's head. Vividly, while I was sleeping. Psychological, emotional meanings to sort. Following footnotes burrowed in the bibliography for quoted cache of letters and an old rare book biography. The minutes of the meetings, oh, where Meigs faced his enemies, all waiting for me to have to read at the university. Well, I live on the corner of one street and Meigs, and not a mile from the campus he carved out of wilderness. My eyes hadn't seen it since they took in the text. It wouldn't look the same, or my faded past like a lantern on the present glow. Against the old school dormitory where Meigs had recited oratory, casting a long deep shadow. Sitting at the screen of a rickety machine, half a roll of microfilm on the reel and winding, blurry projections require focusing, a tweak of the lens and the image is sharpened into looking glass. A tweak of the lens and the image is sharpened into looking glass. A tweak of the lens and the image is sharpened into looking glass. Not 88 photocopy pages is the life of Josiah Meigs. In the smooth hand with fancy fingernails of a bored young UGA co-ed. In the basement of the library, across the counter of the copy shop, was passed to me in a nice neat stack, clasped in a stern black clip, and toner aroma made my head spin. And toner aroma made my head spin. Well, from the campus, through the town, down one street that was even there when Meigs was around. I read the preface in my van in the parking lot of the taco stand, and I was sucker punched by one sentence, and a tear popped out of my eye. Yes, a tear popped out of my eye. Probably not what is called a successful life, and he left no wealth behind him, nor did he leave a name which has survived to wide circles of men. But his life was most eminently useful. But his life was most eminently useful. But his life was most eminently useful. From the van, through my front door, well, not exactly levitating, across my heart pine floor, to the kitchen table, it's cluttered like a desk. Drop the life of Josiah, Meigs, and conjunctions of coincidence brought it squarely to rest upon my father's wallet, upon my dearly departed father's wallet. How much more of an historical shadow can you get than a signature and a silhouette? Well, how much more of an historical shadow can you get than a signature and a silhouette? Well, how much more of an historical shadow can you get than a signature and a silhouette? Well, how much more of an historical shadow can you get than a signature and a silhouette? Well, how much more of an historical shadow can you get than a signature and a silhouette? Did you ever have a day when things seemed to go your way and the keys just found their locks? Well, some folks are all about believing that everything happens for a reason, but regretfully, I was never one of those. Well, things do collide in my wide world, and text is shadow on a sheet, deciphered subjectively, and the loneliness starts here. you ever on a street when some stranger that you see is the splitting image of some ghost? You want to look away, but still you hold your gaze until the stranger notices. Well, it ain't heavy happenstance. It's more like 3D billiards, I suppose. But humans put the craziest spin on it, yeah. Medieval momentum. Well, humans put the craziest spin on it. Medieval momentum. This is the messy part when personalities emerge and the filial attachment glommed on and converge. They were very different, so I tried to grasp what is it going on. Live with a little comparison and contrast.
I request your attention for a few moments regarding a subject highly interesting to me. I have been by the public charged with being an enemy to the Constitution and liberties of my country. If this charge can be supported,
Well,
I would doubtless perform a duty of
my father wasn't much of a letter writer.
Out of the honorable and important
A
office,
letter
for which
writer,
you have
that
regularly
is.
elected me for the 4 years last past.
He didn't leave so much in the way of text behind him.
13 years of age into the forest for several weeks in the custody of a half-breed.
I kind of think his
The adventure on which Charles
wallet
was allowed to go in 1805.
is his autobiography.
Fortunes and prospects of the college were various from 1803 to 1811. Sometimes it seemed to rise superior.
Well, my father, unlike Josiah Meigs, was
Dark and threatening clouds.
neither a scholar nor a scholiast.
With all its regularity and harmony.
He went to work right out of high school. First he went to work for Coca-Cola for 5 years. Then he went to work for Brinks for 5 years. And then he got a job that he'd have for the rest of his life. It was a good union job. And he was a loyal employee and well liked by all his
And even that a contingent nature and punishment would be inadequate.
co-workers.
Your individual characters would keep all doubt of the
And he was a lifelong Democrat.
which may perhaps justly ruin his
But he voted for Ronald Reagan twice. The first thing that Ronald Reagan did when he got in office was break the Air Traffic Controller Union. And I feared for every labor job in America after that. And sure enough, some corporate raider came and bought his company that he worked for. See, my father was the guy who loads bags on and off airplanes. And so this corporate raider came and bought the company ostensibly to build a great airline. But instead of building a great airline, he immediately sold off all the profitable portions of the company and convinced the shareholders that labor cost was what was the downfall of his company. And so they asked labor for concessions. And of course, labor said no. And so they struck, as they had done many times before. But this guy, instead of negotiating with labor, he just decided to close the doors. He'd already made millions of dollars by selling off all the profitable bits, so he closed the doors, laid off tens of thousands of people, and the pension that my father had been paying in for 25 years was evaporated. Somebody over at Chase Manhattan had that money, but it was no longer available to my father. Not that it would have done him any good, because less than a year after they closed the doors, he died. And well, my father, he worked for Eastern Airlines. For nearly my whole life. It disappeared right before his eyes. And so my daddy up and died. And so I sit and stare at the clouds, chattering cuss words, 'cause I am too cool to pout. I'd rather be flying. I'd rather be flying. I'd rather be flying. I'd rather be flying. Well, Meigs and my father were to the bitter end, honest men and model citizens, yes, Meigs and my father were to the bitter end, honest men and model citizens. Yeah. Meigs and my father were to the bitter end, honest men and model citizens. Yeah. Meigs and my father were to the bitter end, honest men and model citizens. Yeah. Meigs and my father to the bitter end, honest men and model citizens. Well, inspiration hits me right in the gut. And text injects the residue into the space-time terry cloth. Saying I see dead people, but their presence is palpable, reducing my ability to view the present flat and objectively. And that isn't healthy. No, that isn't healthy. No, that isn't healthy. In these times. Well, our civilization has such a narcissistic self-vision. And its idea of history as some sort of divinely inspired Disneyland. Founding fathers bound around in big absurd suits of glory, all friendly to the little kids, just cherry trees and ponies, with no hint at the very human aspect at the heart of the story, reducing its ability to view the present flat and objectively. Love it or leave it. Yeah, love it or leave it. Oh, love it or leave it. Or leave it alone. Like memories emanating from within my chemical chambers. Like a cucumber preserved in vinegar is no longer known as a cucumber as a grape bunch, dried in the sun, becomes a box of raisins. It is changed. It is changed. Very much. I see him in my dreams. I wish the world was different than it was. And I read a book of history. I see it in my dreams. I wish the world was different than it was. People do pretend so much energy they expend. Sticking out like a sore thumb in the pages of history. I wish the world was different than it was. At the intersection of Josiah, Meigs, and me, I wish the world was different than it was. And people do pretend so much energy they expend. Passes, he becomes more obscure. I wish the world was different than it was. Each degree of separation's a separate death sentence to the truth. I wish the world was different than it was.